Hopefully this is caught up so I can start. My internet's been bad all day, so we'll see if it actually is working. Can't check with my laptop. I ran out of mobile data for that, so after about a minute, I shall start reading. I believe we're on chapter 20. No, 21. We are on chapter 21, bro. Chapter 21, The Needs of Our Children. Her arm on my shoulder, her voice rejoicing. She is omnipresent. Oh, grandmother, is it you? Yes, my little Walter, it is I. We liked what you had to say about your masterwork. We have been closely watching you in your painting, Our Children, and your unending, tireless search for the world's children whom you have portrayed in your masterwork, Tomorrow Forever. At our last meeting of the artists, writers, painters, and poets group, Michelangelo put your name up for nomination as a member of our inner circle, saying that your masterwork, Tomorrow Forever, will live in the hearts and minds of men as his work on the Sistine. You were honored by the unanimous vote of all our members, and you will officially join us in the year 2007. As I've stated previously, when my grandmother was alive, she promised me she would never leave me. In all intimate, warm relationships, the people we love never do leave us. In this case, it was my grandmother who had such a powerful influence on the development of my life and artistic talent. Our loved ones leave us with their thoughts, their habits, their values, their very presence. As a young, unsure man, I used to imagine just how grandmother would be after she was no longer physically with me on this earth. And this is a smooth transition here, buddy. I envisioned her in heaven of her of her creation with the great writers, poets, painters of the world. My thoughts of her after was gone were so real to me that I could almost feel her hand on my shoulder. I was motivated to continue my work just as I had been in the early days of my life by her side. Why am I reading? The same reason why you're watching. Because I can. My little Walter, my dream has come true. Don't be late in coming home in the year 2007. I'll have oatmeal cookies and milk waiting for you. Please don't dilly dally around those earth people after that. Your grandmother will be at the gate to let you in. Many of our friends are here waiting for you, too. At our recent meeting, Bernard had this to say about your greatest painting, Tomorrow Forever. My day is wonderful. How was yours? Keane, at the time, 1959, was far more concerned about somehow disentangling himself from much of the host of ancillary commitments he had taken on so that he might devote himself with ample time to a large masterwork that would enable him to use his talents as on an epic scale. There you go. There's your answer. You fucking moron. Maybe I should just stop doing lives because you have so many morons on here. And it's not even morons, they're just submorons. It's an insult to a moron who has no choice. These people have a choice and are morons. Where was I now? Thus, he began work on Tomorrow Forever almost immediately after his New York show, and the next 4 years may be termed truly his Tomorrow Forever period. The scope of the research, preliminary drawings, and designs was such that one is immediately reminded of the work of the artists whom Keane himself admired most, Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Degas. In the beginning stages, he worked on his barge at Sausalito until the summer of 1962 when his daughter Susan, out of school, I'm reading Walter Keane. And actually, the first time. That time I did block you, you piece of shit. Yeah. What am I reading? I'm reading this motherfucking book. See it? The World of Keane. Sick of fucking sub-troglodyte bastards. What was I? At that time, Keane and his daughter went to his 2-acre estate in Woodside, California, where Susan, now 12, painted alongside her father. He sometimes joined her for a swim, and she busied herself with horseback riding, while Keane went into virtual isolation to complete this great 4 by 8 foot work. And the real irony of this book, The World of Keane by Walter Keane, is that it's said that he didn't paint any of the paintings that he did. His ex-wife in the 80s or 90s took him to court, and the judge gave them both an easel and supplies and said, now paint one of your little waifs, which is what these are. One of these big-eyed, you've seen these fucking things somewhere around. Yeah, these big-eyed people. And he said, start painting them. And Walter said, I can't paint them, sir. I got a fucking bum arm. And Margaret did paint them, so they gave all the credit to Margaret. And then Margaret sued him for millions, which he claimed he didn't have. He sometimes joined her for a swim. This is his daughter after the divorce. And she busied herself with horseback riding while Keane went into virtual isolation to complete this great 4 by 8 foot work. And Keane claims that he, everywhere he went around the world, while he was painting, looking for the waifs of the world, that he met goddesses who instantly fell in love with him. And then he made love to them, and he was the greatest fucking lover in the world. And these women, he had to leave them because he had to paint. Now, if you want to believe that, you can. The book's signed, too. That's the best part. Throughout the whole time, no more than 6 other persons were allowed in his studio. Our total group observed his creativity from here as he abandoned himself to the sort of painstaking fervor Masaccio, I don't know how to say that name, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael, Tiepolo, and Veronese were capable of, but which few artists today have had the strength of dedication to attempt. And this motherfucker, and I call him a motherfucker because he thinks that this is as good as Michelangelo. And I think he's just bullshitting because the whole thing, I think, was a ruse. And I believe that he actually caused the whole thing where him and Margaret went to court and battled, but I can't prove it. So, but it just seems like the whole thing was a farce. The notebooks and portfolios of sketches from which Tomorrow Forever took shape reveal in full historic perspective the classic and ageless mastery, quite beyond any contemporary stylistic fad, that Keane has achieved in the painting medium. Within the composition of Tomorrow Forever, there are the images of more than 100 children, but it became at once manifest that what Keane has discovered is not children, but a convention, a material that responds with infinite pliability to the most powerful interpretations and designs. In the very act of following the images of the children, their unfathomable eyes, the stairs, the moon, and the xenophobic perspective, one is drawn into a deep-laid sweep of forms and a complex dimension of design. On the right-hand edge of the procession of children, one follows a deep S-curve From the horizon to the right forefront, red areas of color weave in and out in a line, forming another S. White area from another S, and blue area still another. The eyes themselves become yet another design motif, and the counterpoint of light and dark areas of hair, face, and clothing is repeated sinuously throughout the whole. The effect is a visual, indeed almost tactile, sense of motion and pulsation, driving home, as no literal statement could, Keane's vision of the child as the symbol of humanity advancing from the recesses of a half understood world into a world of courage, kindness, and understanding that he, in the moment of assertion of mutual unity and independence, creates for himself. What's up, bruv? Um, and I believe that the fucking ghosts are telling them this. Yeah, I believe this is like a group of ghosts that get together, which include Michelangelo, this guy's grandmother, and they're telling them how great this guy is. With Tomorrow Forever, Keane reaches such an extraordinary level of achievement that the mind boggles at the thought that this still young artist has within him the potential to achieve even greater levels. Yet, regardless of what he accomplishes in the future, the importance of Keane will remain clear in the light of the vocabulary of forms and emotive images he has already established for world art. On the surface, he has been an idiosyncratic figure, casting aside the conventions that have held modern art in a static state for so many decades. Five, that the adjective becomes, ironically, quaint. Actually, with serious study, it becomes patent that Keane has not deliberately reacted against the schools of art. If anything, he has ignored them with an aloofness that has grown not out of ego, but out of the soaring propulsion of his own unique gifts. In the last analysis, Keane has disengaged the habitual mechanisms of plastic application and remolded their components into a private and total enmeshment such as art has never seen before, and short of most filial eclecticism may never see again. Michelangelo was speaking before the artists, writers, poets, and painters group just yesterday, and this is what he had to say about you and your finished dream. Walter, now that the strength, the pressure bordering on violence, the driving force has been exerted to the capacity of your creativeness, you have produced your masterwork. For the past 17 years, your endless search for the world's lost children and the completion of our children that hangs in the United Nations fulfilled your earliest driving dream. It is now a reality. Your painting will influence world leaders to look to the needs of our children everywhere. In the world of art today, you are one of the most celebrated living artists and have become so because of your devotion, sacrifice, and accomplishments. The world will never know the personal suffering you had to learn to live with, the sacrificing of the women in your life. yours, your as loves, your as loves. That's what it says, right? Your as loves. Colette, Eileen, Myling, even your first wife, Barbara, your talented daughter, Susan, suffered in your absence, and you must have agonized at the loss. Well, I mean, he went to Europe. According to this own book, he went to Europe and left his daughter there for months on end and then would come home after hooking up with what was her name? Colette was a hooker. Eileen, I don't even remember who she was. Mai Ling was a hot Asian somewhere. Where was he at? She was his masseuse or whatever, and then she was a goddess and she was overcome by his greatness. Anyway, back to the book. Seeing those war waifs that first day in Berlin inspired you to tell the world of their plight. But I understood sacrifice an artist must make Much better than most. You may know that it took me years, lying on my back much of the time, to paint the Sistine Chapel, my brow wet with sweat or chilled by the damp winter cold, the paint running down my arms, my back, and arm muscles cramping and aching for years. I continued and was pleased with all the sacrifice that I had made to create this masterpiece, yet I doubt that it will be fully appreciated by anyone but an artist. It takes such a concentration to produce from your soul that very essence of art. It has not been an easy task for you, Walter, to produce your masterpiece. It was your focus, and you accomplished it just as I did with the chapel. I could not go on producing Sistine Chapels all my life. The pain, the suffering, the agony. Ah, but there is also the reward. You must not let your world make demands on you that you do not wish to answer to. It is better to go now to another creative medium and not try to reproduce that which you have already accomplished with Tomorrow Forever. Now you must let your creative skills take you forward. Get lost in music and writing as well, and in your beautiful love affair with this wonderful lady, Joan Marie, who has entered your life. I forgot about Joan Marie. She's the latest. She's is she Brazilian? Brazilian statuesque goddess with the most buoyant breast on the planet at the time. I mean, she's probably 98 and still the hottest woman alive. You are strong and will survive. Move slowly, enjoy your friends, find your way in life. Those about you may feel that you have no new direction. If you aren't painting every minute, it may be good to take a temporary break. In the interim, release yourself completely. A good therapy would be to become productive in a new medium, a new art form. I've learned that productivity helps us at times of transition. Don't be offended when confronted with the new struggle of where now? Those about you and those who love you and who are close to you, however few in number, may feel that you have become a drifter, that you have let them down in some unnamed way, that you have lost the inner search. They do not appreciate that you may just need a rest at this time, Walter, my good man. When your heart and soul are searching and crying out for a new world, don't let the words of friends filtering back to you from stories they may be telling or expectations they may have of you that go unfulfilled cause you to doubt yourself, or cause you further pain. Of course, they will hurt deeply, but you must remain strong and remember that they are talking of a very sensitive and creative human being. It is their shortcoming, not yours, that they may have never seen the beauty of your inner self, that they have never taken the time to penetrate your being and don't know your needs and the expansiveness of your capability as a creative person. When this happens, turn your back and walk away. Your new talent will grow and blossom like the phoenix. You will rise again to new heights of greatness, greatness within yourself that no one can take away from you. As you have believed, I agree with you that the artist precedes the community of man in sensing the world and is the mirror to others, helping to enlighten mankind with regard to itself. Since the artist is the vanguard, he must believe in himself, for it is obvious that others will doubt his message. You have depicted the conflict and challenge for modern man, and must make your own world strong enough to survive the attack that is inevitable. When the public sees what you see, when people, society as a whole, discovers that the artist Walter Keane is portraying his understanding of people and their basic needs, you have accomplished your goal. And this you have done in your masterwork, Tomorrow Forever. At the unveilings from Tokyo to Madrid, the press has proclaimed your genius and accepted you as one of the great ones. I wish to caution you, though. Another day is dawning. Soon the gala events will cease. The respect and love will continue forever, but a new you must emerge. Like the astronaut, mission accomplished. The television shows and the presidential citations soon fade, and you are once again among your peers. It is a serious problem for you, Walter, because you had one goal in mind, such as I did with the Sistine Chapel. When it is accomplished, you must ask yourself, where do I go from here? Neither your grandmother, Bernard, nor I can tell you what to do. We can only encourage you and try to guide you should you feel you have lost your way. I would recommend that at this time you get lost in life and your talents will emerge fresh and renewed. Find peace within yourself and stay well. Good advice from Michelangelo Beyond the Grave. This is what he's comparing to the Sistine Chapel. Like I said, I know this is all bullshit, but it's pretty funny, honestly. I didn't see it in this, but the cat's right there. There's Alone. Kim Novak painting Walter Keane. This guy was pulling in goddesses around the world. I mean, he's a normal looking dude, but according to him, he was just pulling in goddesses left and right. Hunger. And the weirdest thing about this motherfucker was he painted women, but he painted them all as children. According to him. So, I don't know. I mean, that kind of gives you he's trying to save the children. It sounds like he's trying to molest the children, but I could be wrong. And there's his masterwork right there, Tomorrow Forever. I mean, it's not like a bad sci-fi painting, but I mean, it's not great by any means. So, I mean, you know he's just being a bullshitter. Or maybe not. Maybe he really believed it. I don't believe that. Chapter 22, an exciting time. Joan and I had been going together for a year. With great excitement, I telephoned to her from Tokyo, announcing my greatest achievement, a fulfillment in my life, the unveiling of Tomorrow Forever seen for the first time by man. My search, my work, the years of sacrifice had come to an end. There's a new life ahead for me, for us. Please meet me in Honolulu. We'll celebrate. Joan congratulated me and said, Darling, I'm proud of you. You're a real prince. I'll try to make arrangements to meet you. Please call me back in 1 hour. Joan arranged her schedule to meet in Honolulu. I engaged the suite at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. Upon inquiry, I found a sign painter and had him paint 4 24 by 30-inch signs and mount them on a board so they could be carried high above the crowd. Joan Marie's plane was taxiing in. This says taxiing. The stairs were pushed out to the plane. As the door opened, the William Randolph Hearst Task Force was ready for deplaning. My 4 sign carriers had encircled the stairs and were marching in great rhythm. One of the task force called back into the plane. We have a celebrity on board. Miss Mervyn, please come forward. How's Miss Mervyn? Fuck. Everyone on the plane made room for Joan to be the first to exit. She stood at the door, going out at the 4 signs and me waving. With great joy, she shouted, Walter, I love you, but you have to be crazy, but harmless. I called back, I'm not harmless, crazy, yes, in love with you. The signs read, i.e., aloha, Miss Melvin. Welcome, Miss Mervyn. Oh, sorry, it's Mervyn, not Melvin. We love you, Miss Mervyn. And the final sign nearest me read, be mine, Miss Mervyn. Instead of showering her with flowers, we showered her with pearls as she arrived on the bottom step. Joan was greeted by 3 Hawaiian dancing girls, the first of whom was dressed in her colorful brief costume, barefooted. She placed a long waist-length string of pearls around Joan's neck. Another young, smiling native girl encircled her graceful neck with a choker of several strands of pearls. The third barefooted girl danced gracefully to Joan with a triple strand of pearls for evening wear. Close by, I observed her excitement while photographers were snapping pictures of us all. I approached Joan and took her left hand in mine, placing a large pearl ring on her fourth finger. With a light kiss on each cheek, I whispered, "Thank you for coming." Although this presentation and sign waving, the other passengers watching as the Hawaiian girls bestowed lias on them with welcoming aloha kisses. A smashing dinner party was arranged. The 3 days quickly passed surfboarding, swimming, sunbathing, dancing, a new party every night. 72 hours of eye, lip, and body contact. We were in love. Love. That was a very short chapter. And a very pointless chapter. Chapter 23. I will cherish always. The Tokyo unveiling of my painting, Tomorrow Forever, was a moment that I will cherish always. The conclusion of 17 years of searching the world for lost children. A lifelong quest, the mission that has repeatedly changed the course of my life was finally at an end. At last, my masterwork was viewed and judged by others. The showing was an overnight success. The critics united in their acclaim. Long lines of eager viewers formed outside the gallery. Their manner upon leaving was almost reverent. "Why did you select Tokyo to first display this work?" a Japanese reporter asked one day. After a moment's hesitation, I replied, "In Japan, everyone is in his own way a creative artist. Even writing your language, the formation of the characters, is an art. I wanted to unveil my painting in a country where the people have feeling, where they care about art and have respect for the artist. Here, I believe the public truly understands the sacrifices and years of toil the artist must endure to reach his plateau." I went on to explain that it was through the Japanese people that I learned, as a student in Paris, to view only 4 to 6 paintings at a time at an exhibition. I learned to study the emotion captured in the artist's brushstrokes, thereby gaining knowledge of his color and textures. Days later, I would return to the gallery to study other works. From my Tokyo success, I spun halfway around the world to Madrid, another city of culture. Beauty and love for the artist and his work. In Madrid, great artists had lived, painted, and exhibited their work for 500 years. What a joy to be accepted and made to feel a part of this wonderful world. Dr. Jose Camon Aznar, Dean of the Faculty of Philosophy and Letters of the University of Madrid and director of the Lazaro Galdiano Museum, arranged the presentation and unveiling party. Once again, the response was excitement and admiration. Francis Biddle Duke, then American ambassador to Spain, also gave a party in my honor. Duke, a warm, powerful, and graceful man, was, like Aznar, enthusiastic in his praise. The Madrid exhibit was a heady triumph, an unforgettable moment. A few weeks later, the announcement was made that Tomorrow Forever had been selected as the theme painting for the pavilion of the Hall of Education at the New York World's Fair 1964 to 1965. The decision had been made by a panel of critics after 1 year of actively seeking a work of art which would epitomize and symbolize the theme and aspirations of the Hall of Education. In a press release, Dr. Nathan Dechter, chairman of the board of directors of the Hall of Education, was quoted as saying a large number of submissions and recommendations were received and evaluated by the panel of critics. But because of the painting's specific aptness and artistry, it has no peer. The happiest moment of my professional life was shattered by the statement of John Cannaday, a New York Times art critic, who referred in print to Decter's statement as a grotesque announcement. Writing to me, he said, Keane is the painter who enjoys international celebration for grinding out formula pictures of wide-eyed children of such appalling sentimentality that his product has become synonymous among critics with the very definition of tasteless hack work. Tomorrow Forever, as the painting is called, contains about 100 children and hence is about 100 times as bad as the average Keane. That's fucking brilliant. I was devastated by his unexpected attack. Knowing in my heart that I had created something truly good, something that would live, I was proud of my accomplishment, but deeply shocked by this public attack from a man who was basing his judgment not from the painting itself, but from an 8 by 10 black and white photo. Some of the pain was alleviated by the humor of San Francisco Examiner columnist Dick Nolan, who devoted the column to the brouhaha that immediately followed the attack. Them big art crickets has been having it at my old friend Walter Keane, he wrote. Walter brings out the worst in them. Ordinarily, they use crochet needles in constructing their lacy rotomontads, but for old Walter, they fetch axes and shovels. They go all historical and primitive. They could kill him. Keane versus the Crickets is a contest I have been watching for quite a few years now. In the beginning, it was fairly mild. The Crickets, said Walter's work was worthless. Walter said the Crickets were nuts. Then more and more art buyers began to pay higher and higher prices for Walter's paintings. He committed the rather dreadful sin of becoming successful without the Crickets' permission. Last year's books, prints, and lithographs of Keane paintings outsold reproductions of all other artists' works, including the work of the dead artists, whose works can be reproduced fairly cheaply because the artists don't get paid. Besides that, Walter continued to sell original canvases at ever escalating prices. He even got rich enough to endow art colleges. It has been explained to me by one of the Crickets that it really is not necessary for a cricket to see a Keane painting to judge it, because they just know they are all bad. As a wondering layman, I could take the hermetically sealed minds of the Crickets more seriously if I were not such a student of their shimmering prose. These are the same experts who are willing to devote columns of type to dainty exclamations, ooh and ah, over the finger paintings of chimpanzees. Occasionally, they have awarded prizes to the works of chimps. How could I not feel better after such a spirited and amusing defense? Nolan was not only funny, I knew what he said was true. A few nights later, while having a drink at Vanessi's, San Francisco columnist Jack Rosenbaum approached me. What did you think of the Canada article, he asked. With a grin, I replied. He gave me 1/2 page in the Times and a column syndicated in God knows how many papers. How can I complain about that? And wonder of wonders, he even spelled my name right. The millions who loved my work must have been amused by his comments. No, I didn't laugh. There's nothing funny to me about my work, but I did find his comments ironic. Critics like Mr. Kennedy must get their kicks out of attacking creative people. If I drew a circle on a canvas and blew a piece of colorful bubblegum on it, one of them would undoubtedly describe it as great art, just as long as it didn't sign it, as I didn't sign it, Keane. Let's see how long the next chapter is. I'm already at 35 minutes, so it's only like 3 pages. Fuck it, let's do it. Chapter 24. No delusions or revenge. Revenge. The fog was rolling in, the air was damp and cold as we drove my Mercedes into Joan's garage at her apartment. After a couple of drinks and a fine dinner prepared by my lady, Maurice set the mood of the evening with his romantic songs, sung in French. Quietly reminiscent each time I was in love. That was it, the hunger to belong and time for love. I was on the couch when Joan turned the recorder's volume down and sat beside me. Whispering, she said, Maurice Chevalier, and you really turned me on. While plugging in my electric shaver the next morning, I looked at an autograph frame picture Maurice had given to Joan, and I said, Maurice, she isn't only romantic, she is romance itself. Joan called out, Walter, I heard that. You aren't too bad yourself. I laughed. With a little more practice, I hope to match your performance. She commented, Lucky you were laughing when you said that. After breakfast, Joan sat beside me, taking my left hand in hers, looking into my eyes, speaking in her quiet manner. Walter, with your great talent, fame, and wealth, your artist friends mistakenly have detected that you feel superior to them. Your busy life has shut them out. You were one of them, and they felt close to you. The fuck is he going on about her? Darling, darling, you and I were at the party as friends. Darling, many times someone would arrive in my studio unannounced and had to be dismissed so I could return to my easel. I couldn't allow their frivolous stories into my consciousness. I was dedicated to work. You did that? No artist could appreciate that. Walters, it's as though your compatriots initiated a get tough policy with you. I responded, all unintentional, sweet love. Being with you makes me forget who I am. My friends and enemies are drawn from every level of society. Some hate my paintings, often others love my work. What they think, do, or say about me and my paintings, and my work, pardon, I cannot change. I feel no disillusion or revenge. I am not a people pleaser. During the long years of sacrifice searching the world to complete my masterwork, many costs were incurred. I suffered from the loss of my friends, and my loves fell by the wayside like petals from a wilted flower. All for my damn burning driving force to seek, to find, to portray. I made my choice. Now that severe confinement is behind me, I hope to correct a few of these things. My work has made me an observer of human nature, of people, their eye expression, their motions, gestures, and movements. Even today, an intruder in my studio, or when I'm writing, can spoil a good day, or a good day's work, pardon. I have little time for people. I throw parties and luncheons for my friends and hesitate going to one of theirs, often refusing, giving some lame excuse. Joan, often lately when I'm in my studio alone and working, a dream of mine resurfaces and is becoming an active part of my thinking. Oh, tell me, Walter, what is it? Are we going to get married and have many wonderful children? No response. My mind flashed rather than risk another ruinous marriage. I propose for now. Come live with me and be my love. After a couple of swallows of oxygen, words began to flow once more. A vision, a dream has stayed with me along my journey to reach out into the world and gather together the fine painters I've met everywhere and bring their work together into a group of fine galleries. California would be a good place to start. We could open a group of galleries along the coast of California, then the nation, and eventually throughout the world. I am aware the artists could not find me or send their paintings to the galleries. I must go to them, pay them in advance for their work, financing them if need be to buy canvases and paint for them and pay their rent. This would encourage them to continue as artists and not drift away to meaningless jobs. Eventually, we will establish a worldwide group of galleries for the benefit of the world's artists. Leaning over to kiss my lady, I addressed her as if I were the chairman of the board of directors. You are a thrifty one. Perhaps you can be the secretary and treasurer. I'll be the treasurer and a contributing artist. It's heavy on my mind. I must one day do it. Oh, Walter, you're serious. Yes, you better believe it. It's not far away. They are all far away. I will miss you if you go. It's in my heart and pounding in my mind. You can leave the airline and we'll travel with Paris, Bangkok, Bali, Tahiti, China, or Japan, organizing the artists and gathering the paintings for our international art galleries. Leaning over, kissing me, Joan said, My dear love, I understand. When the time comes, I will be beside you, helping in any way I can. Art Fraud in 1967. Do I want to read that? Probably not. But we've made progress tonight. How long is that epilogue? 261. We are less than 100 pages now. I will leave this for later, because why read away my night? That's all, bruvs. That's all.